Austin Johnson, take two. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you made time for it. Thank you very much. You got referred to me from Dr. Parker Fillmore. Actually, we did a great podcast together, and I've been doing a lot of episodes on the mining industry. You know, I'm trying to figure out what my obligation is as a technology consumer with tech that I know is sourced from places like Africa. Are you the founder of Gonna Make a Difference?
I'm not the founder. I'm actually in pretty deep.
Okay.
My in-laws founded it.
Gotcha.
And I'm the only employee.
There you go.
Went and got a master's degree and everything to try to help them out. And
so Gonna Make a Difference is obviously it's a play on words, right? Because it's not Gonna, it's Ghana.
That's right.
As in the place in Africa. Gonna Make a Difference. Talk to me about what you guys do, because again, just the background. Like I can't see my way through this, where I know that I'm the beneficiary of horrible things that are happening in other places in the world. I don't know how to square it with that. I don't know how to avoid that, right? I heard this great analogy the other day. It's like being somebody that is addicted to food. You're massively obese. You're addicted to food. You can't stop eating. The problem is, you do have to eat something to survive. So it's not like you can abstain completely, right? But you're in a bad position with your practices. I don't know how to square. I'm in a bad position with my consumer trends. Obviously, purchasing electronics where you have the source material coming from these third world impoverished, horrible places. Anyway, talk to me about what Gonna Make a Difference does.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'll just speak on what I see and what I have witnessed over there in Ghana, and I'm an expert on some things, but mining maybe not so much over there. But
well, sure, it's everything, right? Like these are problems.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just want to say you know a lot about a lot of things. I've enjoyed your podcast. I feel really grateful being here, and I'm wondering how many minutes a night you sleep.
I try to minimize it.
Sometimes I see you uploading these podcasts daily or a couple times a day. I'm like, dude, when does Matt get time to even sleep? But so anyway, I feel grateful to be here. So
I'm very optimized.
I feel lucky. So anyway, to answer your question, I know Ghana has a big gold mining industry and there's child labor used in that, but that's about the extent of my knowledge there. All the children that come to our shelter, quite a few of them have been rescued off the fishing industry, which is domestic. It's a domestic good. It's not an international product. The Ghanaian government is very much involved in helping stop that. Their police force is there. They rescue the kids, and then they all get brought to my shelter. And then the other industry that we've had kids from is cocoa. So chocolate, big chocolate companies. There's a lot of child labor used in that. And so we've had a few kids who've been exploited there that have been rescued and brought to us. So those are really the two big industries that I see at our shelter firsthand. So
could you explain to me like I've never heard of, child labor being used in a commercial fishing industry. Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so this is and to date we've rescued and helped over 300 of these kids from the fishing industry get on a path to self-reliance. So this is a very typical story, is like the family falls under hard times, maybe the dad breaks an arm or can't find work or something, and almost always it's like a distant relative comes and says, hey, I can see you've fallen under hard times. I know a guy who will give you $20 for your kid and teach him a trade, and we'll give him food every day. And when you want your kid back, of course, you can go get him back. So there's a lot of misconception. Seems like a great deal.
How old are these kids?
I mean, some of them are 5 years old, which is crazy. Some of the kids we've rescued have been enslaved for 10 years, and we're rescuing them at 14, 15, 16 years old. And so they're being tricked, because when they do get back up on their feet and they're looking for their boy, they're gone. They've been passed around. It's a big old lake. These kids get passed around, and so a lot of them are slaves for years and years before they're found and rescued, and then they get brought to us. And our social workers, then we do all the investigative work, figure out what happened, what's the last village you remember or the earliest village you remember, and we figure out who their families are. And best case scenario, the family's super excited that we have their kid, and they've been looking for him, and it's an easy reintegration. And we'll follow up care, and there's a lot that goes into that, but that's very typical, is we find these kids, we figure out where they were from, who's their family, and we're able to reunify them.
So you have essentially just the origin is just a family living literally like subsistence, like trying to get food and absolute basic necessities for human existence in Ghana. Yeah. Is that the idea? Uh-huh. And there is in general some mechanism of employment that they can find, be that, whatever, as low level of employment as you can imagine. They have kids and something happens and they're like, okay, we literally don't have the absolute bare minimum for survival consistently at this point. And so then somebody arrives and says, hey, here's $20 first off to help you a little bit. And like your kid will be more valuable to you in the world. It's essentially like, give me your kid. I'm going to go to give him like a degree. I'm going to get him a degree. It's no problem. Benefits everyone. It's like a work-live program. No problem. They'll feed them and they'll learn how to do these things and whatever. And the families are families in the culture and community wising up to this type of scam, or is it? Are they disconnected enough where it's like they're not all sitting on their phones like, oh my gosh, watch out for like the phishing scam,
right?
Because they don't have cell phones to like be watching TikToks on phishing scams.
Yeah, I mean these folks are the most impoverished, right? These communities. It's what you think of when you think of like National Geographic Africa. These are thatched roofs. These are mud walls. But like the family unit is very powerful, very important. So.
Well, yeah, dude, it's the only thing you have.
Yeah, it's
it. You have the people that are nearest and dearest to you, and that's the only thing in the world that matters.
Exactly. And so we have seen a really good trend, and it's been cool for me because now we've been in Ghana. We've had a presence in Ghana for over a decade, about 13 years, and the latest reports on child trafficking in the fishing industry are just drastically lower than when we started, which is amazing. Because at first, if we would catch kids, the prosecutor or like the slave owners would get like a slap on the wrist and go do it again. It was super sad. That's like how it was 10 years ago. Now they're being prosecuted in a court with a jury, and the risks are higher, and so we're seeing less and less. The latest report was like, I think it was like 4,000 kids are still on the lake. When we started over 10 years ago, it was like 20,000 kids. So it's a huge, amazing trend downward. And so now at our children's shelter, for the first time ever this year, we have more domestic abuse cases in our shelter than slavery cases. Still sad, but I feel like we're just moving the right way, things are getting better.
What lake, what body of water is this?
It's called Lake Volta. It's actually the biggest reservoir in Africa. It's a man-made reservoir. And so it's kind of like Lake Powell for those who've been down to southern Utah. There's a lot of arms. It's huge. It's a huge mass. A lot of places to hide.
So, and you have a gigantic fishing industry on, like, that must be like the size of Lake Michigan or something. Like, how big is this place?
Yeah, I wish I knew. I mean, we could Google it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so the fishermen, the fishermen come and they're like, hey, give us your kid, $20. We'll bring him back whenever. The family in a horrible, desperate situation is like, okay, great. So now you're the 6-year-old who's just been sold to a commercial fishing operation on Lake Volta, and you've been sold under the guise of, we're going to teach you how to fish, and you can come back whenever. What happens once you leave your family? Not that you have much of a choice because you're 6.
Yeah, so I read a lot of the I read all of the social work reports that we get, and it's the kids sharing their story to the rescuers. So a lot of these kids, as you could imagine, they suffer all sorts of abuses. A lot of them don't get the 2 meals a day. They get less than that. They start work early in the fishing industry. They work late. And there's often, bruises, paddle, scarring, stuff like that on their backs and heads. So super sad stuff. So anyway, yeah, me and my wife joke that it's being involved in this in nonprofits. It's almost like being involved in like a multi-level marketing thing. We would joke, oh, we used to have friends before we started talking about slavery and sad stuff. It's like, don't invite the Johnsons. They'll talk about doom and gloom stuff. So, but it's. It's hard.
I have to imagine at a cocktail party, it's hard to think about or like care. Like, look, I don't. Yeah. I'm not some super serious guy, but like, I also don't care about college football at all. There's so many other interesting and important things going on that if somebody's like, oh yeah, did you see like Coach? What's that dude? Coach Prime? I always think like Optimus, right? It's like, okay, cool, man. Like, here's a guy with a real passion for the sport, right? He personally did it. His son's going to school. Like, okay, like that. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me, and especially it's
these
almost
big causes that are real and important. And I'll say, before we move on, like I'll say, you would think these kids are like the saddest, sorriest bunch of kids. But when you go to Gonna Make a Difference and you meet them, they're so resilient. I mean, they're happier than kids here. And it's amazing to, read like their social work files, see where they've come, see what they've endured, and now see them in this new setting where all the adults around them have their best interest in mind. They're like, they have time to play. They go to school. When we first opened our own school, they're sitting in their desks an hour before the bell rings because they're just eager and just flipping through the pages of their books, waiting for the teachers to arrive. I mean, there's not a whole lot of opportunities that pass before those kids that they don't just snatch up. And so it's been pretty fun for me to see. Now we're relatively older. We've been there long enough to where we're seeing this full trajectory of these kids who are standing on their own 2 feet. They're nurses, they're plumbers, they're in the community and successful and doing well and doing well emotionally. And so that's been really fun for me to see, is it's not just this sad, abused bunch of kids. Their future's blindingly bright, and you see it when you're there. I mean, you can sit on the steps of Gonna Make a Difference, and like the progression's palpable as you watch these kids interact with each other. And we'll have 80 to 100 kids at any given time over there. So you can tell which ones are just freshly rescued or off the street because they're really rough and, feel like they need to fight for whatever they have over there. And then within a couple months, they just kind of chill out and I'm going to get 3 meals a day no matter how I act. I get to go to school no matter how I act, and so it's pretty fun to see the progress of these kids.
Yeah. So you guys are not just lodging, right? Like you take in kids that have been rescued that have yet to be reunited with parents, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not like a boarding school,
right?
You're literally the step between, or the terminal end of their childhood, right? Like if you rescue a 14 or 15-year-old that cannot remember or cannot get reunited, like you're going to take care of that kid until he's presumably off, able to fend for himself.
Yeah, good question. So we are not, and the kids know this coming into our shelter. They're told right off the bat, this will not be your permanent home.
Right.
So we try really hard for the reunification. That's always our first step. Sometimes their parents are deceased. Sometimes we can't reunify them, and they kind of become wards of GMAD, of Gonna Make a Difference. So we follow these kids. So we have over 40 kids on scholarship in higher education, trade schools, stuff like that. A lot of these kids are ones that we couldn't reunify. Their parents were gone. It didn't work out. We tried and failed and had to bring the kid back. I mean, there's a myriad of situations that calls for us to, we need to keep this kid on our radar for a while. And so, anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah. So essentially, you guys function as a home for them, where say you have somebody who has been, engaged in the slave trade. That person then obviously, once they are rescued, they need somewhere to stay. They need somewhere to get food. They need somewhere to start, engaging in normalcy while you guys seek out their parents. In the event that you can reunify them and it's a positive thing, fantastic.
Yeah.
If you can't, then they can continue to stay there and you guys will support them, not forever, right? It's like, this isn't your house when you're like 35 and having your own kids, but like, we're going to help you integrate and engage in the community, so you have something to contribute. So you become socialized into the proper ways to act within that area.
Yeah.
I would imagine that reunification is obviously a high priority when you're dealing with somebody that had a horrific instance with slavery. And is that predominantly men, like young men get sold off?
Yep.
In the event that you have domestic abuse, I presume you're more balanced with young women as well, correct?
Yes. Yep. This year with our all the domestic abuse kids we've been getting, it's also the first time ever that we've had more girls than boys at our shelter. And it's cool. In Ghana, it's very cultural to take care of your own, take care of your family. And so so maybe their parents, their mom or their dad, aren't in a position to take back their kid, or it's not healthy for the kid to go back there. Right. Our social workers can often find an aunt or a grandmother who usually will step up to the plate and are very eager and excited to take that role in the kid's life and to be like their caregiver, And so we've had a lot of that, a lot of success there, because there's a lot of like empirical evidence that no matter how good your institution is, because sometimes I'll get that from volunteers. Why don't they just stay at Ghana Make a Difference forever? Like it's better than their home. There's like green grass and food and everything. And the evidence shows no matter how good the institution is, these kids are better off in a family setting. They're going to be more emotionally healthy. Everything is so. Granted, it's not an abusive setting, but they'll be better off in a family setting than at the best of institutionalized care, like children's shelter. So that's why we always go that direction first. If that's not an option, then we find a path forward for them through education. So that's our other focus areas, like school and anyway.
Are your social workers the one delivering the education? Do you guys hire like local teachers or?
Yeah, we have a whole staff. In fact, right now we're building a new school. It's going to be an epic, big 2-story block, nice school. So right now we're building one. So all our classes are spread out under our pavilions and everything while they're doing the construction. But we have right now on our payroll, we have 10 educators. These guys all have bachelor degrees. The donated dollar goes so far in Ghana. Like some of our educators, have their bachelor degree. They come to work on time. They're dedicated. They're wearing business casual. The kids love them. They're great in every aspect of the word educator. And we're paying them just over $3,000 a year for their salary. And this is a good salary in Ghana. Like we don't have to worry about turnover. We have some day oneers still working for us. And so the impact that money has, that salary has, is immense. So we had to start our own school, mainly because of the kids we serve are so unique. Like we can't just shove them in a normal school, because these kids rescued at 14, 15 years old have never held a pencil. We're literally teaching them how to hold a pencil when we first rescue them, these teenagers. So you can't just throw a 14-year-old into P1. We tried that when we first started getting these types of kids, and we thought we got to pivot. So we have their own special curriculum. These kids learn on tablets and laptops. at their own pace, with these relatively smaller class sizes, and they do great. In fact, right when we introduced this, we're in rural Ghana, mind you, and all these kids, they start snickering in class. This is like 6 weeks after we rolled out this new curriculum, and the teacher's wondering what's going on. She finds out these kids have learned to Bluetooth message each other in English in class. I mean, they're passing notes in class. It's like amazing. And we thought, what a success,
That's one of the things I bring up. I think there's a problem with over inundation and overutilization of tech in like the Treasure Valley schools, right? They're in public schools, especially in 2020, people just threw technology at kids and they're like, oh, this will solve the problem with education. And overwhelmingly people have realized like, okay, that's not the way it is. But of course, if you're dealing with people in Ghana, it's like, dude, whatever you can do to help them, learn whatever the strategy is. Obviously, you have to stretch your resources as far as possible. So if it's like you got one teacher for 100 kids or one teacher for 60 kids or something, whatever. But the thing that I always say with kids in this area in particular is, people say, well, kids will need technology. They'll need technology in order to, function in the job world. So we got to give kids tech early on. It's like, no, you don't. Give them a month. Like, if you could take a kid who's never seen a computer by the age of like 16, as is evidenced through your experience, and within 6 weeks, they're like Bluetooth pathing notes. They're like, check this out, bro. Set it off. I mean, like, they're so easy to figure out, and a curious mind is going to be able to figure this out really, really quickly. It's, you can bring people up to speed, and then it's who they are. That's what's going to come out in the tech.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, kids are clever. And so, and some of your listeners are going to think, how long do we have these kids? Best case scenario, we have them for a full year. And it can be longer than that. But in that full year, we're hoping they're English literate. They can read, write, speak. And
so you can take somebody at age 15 and teach them how to read and write in 1 year.
Yeah. And then computer literate, if they can figure out technology, we figure if they have those two things, they can go anywhere, any direction they want, because if with a curious mind and the ability to research more of it, and they don't have full access to the internet when they're with us, we have this closed circuit or whatever. I'm not a techie dude, as you can tell. Sure. But it's fun because we still have the back end analytics, and these teachers are seeing where the kids are spending time. So if we have a kid who's super into dinosaurs and they're looking up all the stuff in dinosaurs, then we just roll with that and show them how to research more and learn more about it. And it sparks them to want to read more about that. And it's been amazing. So it's pretty fun. Pretty fun for me to sit on the sideline and witness this stuff and hear the stories from our teachers and staff members over there that do the real work.
Can I ask you something? And this is obviously an apolitical conversation. There's concern within, I think, the entire United States about our education system. And there are these, horror stories of kids graduating from high school with a diploma, quote unquote, that, like are illiterate, right? And that's one of the biggest problems with, like third grade literacy within the United States. If you're not literate, can read fluently by third grade, then your probability of ending up in the corrections facility in some way skyrocket, because ultimately you continue on through your life. Yeah. You can't at that point, read to learn, right? That's the transition. Yeah. Learn to read, and then you read to learn. So, the fourth grader, fifth grader, sixth grader can teach themselves things because they're reading along the way. And if you can't read at that point, you can't teach yourself things. My point is there's a huge concern about that. But it sounds like you can take a 15-year-old that doesn't know how to read and write at all, and within 1 year, they can read and write and have computer skills. Like, what is the education mechanism or curriculum or platform that you guys are using that within 12 months you can accomplish something starting from ground zero that people in the United States can't do?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I am not an expert on education. In fact, I'm so dyslexic that I was an awful student K through 12, and Anyway, we can get into that.
Dude, I
later
had
if we
speech
want.
therapy when I was in elementary. I was dyslexic as well. Like, totally appreciate where you're coming from. Yeah.
I had a major imposter syndrome all the way up until even during I was getting my diploma from Notre Dame, and I had got a master's degree.
Yeah.
I went to Notre Dame, and I'm still thinking in my head, I can't believe they didn't figure out who I was, you know? So I'm not an expert on education and can't speak too much to it. And I will say that a lot of these kids, so we have three focus areas. We have the children's shelter, we have the educational component, and then we have a whole medical arm to what we do over there. And we have like a surgical center and everything. A lot of these kids...
Wait, what do you mean a surgical center? Like you can do...
Yeah, Mr. Beast helped us fund a surgical center over there. And we
Wait,
have like
you have a surgical center attached to the orphanage in Ghana?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different building entirely, but it's on our compound. And
wow,
we've had like a dental eye clinic there for years and years. And then we just last year put in a surgical center. So that's one of our big arms. And I bring it up because while we do these medical missions, and we've had a lot of volunteers through Eagle, through Star, through Treasure Valley go over there, like Parker Fillmore, and they just serve and kick butt over there. Well, these older kids are helping in all sorts of ways. They're the administrative. They take on these administrative roles during our medical missions. They are excellent translators. I've seen full-on fights kind of break out because we'll have 600 people waiting for medical aid while we're there. Just huge lines, and as you can imagine, tensions can run high. And I've seen these boys go, and they just calm everyone down. And I'll say, "What did you say to them?" "Oh, I just told them that they'd get seen, and I just validated them, Austin. That's all." You know, I mean, it's like amazing. You know, I'm like, "Let's keep it up, man." So they take on a pretty big role during our medical missions, and as you can expect, they like then get interested in the medical field. So we've had several kids go on to be, to go into the medical field, and so we have learned. I share all this because they are at a big disadvantage to a kid who's gone through like K through 12 and gone to like a senior high school and then go to college. And now our kids who've really been in education for like 3 years or 4 years are competing with these same people. And you can see the differences. You know, they're still at a disadvantage. They still like got to work extra time to try to learn everything. So it's not like we have some magic silver bullet over there. But yeah, what we're seeing is super promising that they can learn so much in such a short amount of time over there. So, and it's fun for me as a dyslexic to go over, and a lot of them are hard on themselves, and they're like, "Oh, like I stink at reading," and I'm like, "I do too, yeah." And I'll tell them stories and get them all laughing at my own expense, and I love it because I can just be real with them. And
yeah. I think a lot of people forget what it's like to learn. I've always wanted to be, I liked chess in college. I was not a great chess player in college. Like I'd play on like Yahoo Chess, right?
Yeah.
To like get some games in. And there was a period of time after I moved here when I was like, you know, man, if you could do anything with your life, like what would you want to do? Because I had left my previous career in education. And for some reason I was like, dude, you've always wanted to be good at chess. Like, why don't you just try to get good at chess, right? No particular reason, right? Other than it's something you really enjoy. And I met a guy in the neighborhood who became a good friend of mine, and he was good at chess. And so we'd get together. It's like actually in the studio, like get a beer, hang out, and play a bunch of chess, right? This is the kind of guy I am. Anyway,
I love it.
And what was really interesting is I was starting from like ground zero. And this guy, my buddy Ross, was actually really good at chess. And he was like really kind and, I'm going to go here and then you're going to go. I was like, oh, shoot. Now obviously Ross has a wife and kids and like can't like teach me. Anyway, so I start playing chess on chess.com. And it's so frustrating to be someone of competence at like our age, where it's like, okay, I'm good. I only engage in things I'm good at because those are the things, one, that I've been engaging in for the longest amount of time. And so, yeah, I'm probably good at them. And the things that I'm terrible at, I usually get someone else to do. Like I was telling you, I just drywalled my barn and screwed it all up. Like, whatever, man. Like, fine. But you can, if you want to learn, you can learn. Yeah. But I think after going through the experience of playing chess and learning this game, that, you know, to me, it has no consequence. It's this thing that for whatever reason, I just want to get at, right? So double the frustration and anxiety if it's something of consequence. It's like, you got to learn this or you're not going to be able to survive, right?
Right.
If you don't go through that periodically and you don't remind yourself of how hard it is to learn, and then obviously that you can learn, right? I think it's such a debt, like your perspective is so skewed when you're trying to help people. And that's, as an educator, that's something that I really try to hold close, which is like, remember how painful this is for people. Because I'm a very emotional learner.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I want to like throw my phone across the room when I'd be like, why didn't I see that? Or like, what? And I have a dear friend who is a jiu-jitsu training partner of mine, and he's like, I guess the international rankings like 2,400 is like a grandmaster, and he's like 21 or 2,200. So he's remarkable at chess.
He's up there.
And I would text him like almost in tears. Like I get very emotional when I'm learning. Yeah. And it's funny because he was on the other side in jiu-jitsu because I was much better than him, and he would like go in his car and like cry. It's like, but the point is, you got to remember how hard that is, right? Yeah. And if you're the type of person, as I think a lot of people are, if you're the type of person who tries something and they're bad at it, and as an adult, you're like, well, I'm terrible at that. I'm never doing that again. It's like, how are you going to relate to somebody like a young person who's going through hell? Like, you have an obligation to have that perspective and just sit in that frustration and that rot and that like pain of, I'm so bad at this and this is actually really important.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's one reason we had to switch gears, because we're only 200 yards away from a government school. And so when we first started getting these kids and we were throwing them in the P1 class.
P1 is?
It's
just
like
with
first grade.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
great.
It's like, so we'd have this 15-year-old sitting with a bunch of...
Come back to the mic, man. You keep
6-year-olds.
There you go.
Sorry. Sorry, everyone. And it was demoralizing for them. That was the number one thing, is they would get back from school and their shoulders were sloped. And so we had to take on the education ourselves. So we ate all of our chickens and we converted our chicken coop into our school. That's what we did in 2017. And because that was such a huge proponent, because it is hard learning new things. It's incredibly difficult. And if your brain's already saying, I'm only as smart as these 6-year-olds, or these 6-year-olds are beating me, then you've already lost, because you're kind of playing that comparison game. So when you're able to like learn by yourself and have like the supportive network that you need to learn something, it's a game changer. You had your chess friends, helping you out, and so providing them with that, we don't give them an opportunity to think that they're less than. They are what they are, and the human potential's amazing. These kids, I had this kid come up to me. He kept pulling on my shirt, and he would strike the same move. He'd stick out his toe way out, like parallel to the ground, and stretch his arms forward. And he could tell I didn't get it. And he kept smiling and then doing the pose again. And I was like, dude, I don't get it. And then he runs over to this children's dictionary, and he opens to a page of an ice skater. Oh. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this boy, Solomon, is literally dreaming of skating through, skating on the ice. We're probably 4,000 miles away from the nearest ice rink here. And I just believe that these kids can do whatever they want as soon as they, catch that glimpse of what they can be. Like, there's enough opportunities in this world that if you direct them appropriately and give them the boost, that they can get there. So
I don't know what it is about, like, Solomon. You tell me, you're like, hey, Solomon, you want to skate on ice? you can skate on ice. And there's not a fiber in my being that doubts that Solomon will at one day be like a 27-year-old, working somewhere in like England, skating on ice.
Right.
It's like as a boy, I had a passion in Ghana to like ice skate, right? And that would be some, YouTube story. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like, I 100% agree that.
Yeah.
What is it? And I don't know if you experience this yourself, but what is it about my experience as a kid? I didn't have that. I wasn't like, I will be whatever I want. Like, there's something about being born into this system where you kind of feel like, well, I don't have that many options. Like, I got to be this or whatever. But you experience somebody who really has nothing and really had no options. And you're like, no, man, you can do whatever you want. And it's like, yeah, he can. There seems like such an odd, kind of double standard, at least from where I viewed my life. And again, growing up, like, I didn't grow up with a lot, but, I had infinitely more than Solomon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And yet I would say Solomon had it like, could do anything.
Yeah. I can't even speak to that, on a deep level, but I know what I see. And it's cool to, even seeing, I'll share another story real quick, but I love seeing like remnants of their dark past come up in like this new setting. And so, like, for instance, all the kids love eating fish. They, in the fishing industry, that's what they're having every day. And so it was the kids' idea. We want to have more fish. And so we decided, the staff, like, we'll build a fish pond. And so we built this really nice fish pond on our campus. We have a few of them. And then we're like, okay, we need to go to the market and probably buy some new fish and get this started.
Stock it, yeah.
And the kids were like, no, we'll stock it. And we're like, what do you mean? They grab these old mosquito nets and they march down, they hike down to a lowland, and they find a bunch of tilapia and fish. And they were amazing. They're corralling these fish with their mosquito nets, and they caught hundreds of them. And they're telling me these fish stories, the same type we talk about in Idaho. How big was the fish? And these kids are like, oh my gosh, I caught this one with my hands, and they stocked all those fishing ponds. And so here's this: they're expert fishermen. You can tell, you can see it, and then here it's this like bright new, future ahead of them. And so it's pretty fun to see these kids. And I didn't even answer your question about just,
dude, I don't care at all about
human
my question.
potential or whatever, but I just think there's something so cool in how we're all alike, just humans. I think just humans, we're amazing. So yeah, I mean, what you felt is the same thing I felt. I remember, especially as I was getting married, and becoming an adult, you start wondering, I got to make X amount a year. I want my kids to be able to have braces or join this soccer game. And so I can't choose this or this or this. I have to be an accountant or this, or I don't know, whatever. And, minds are kind of funny. You can spiral spiral up or down with that stuff, but.
Dude, you just rescued me. I thought for a second, I'm like, maybe what I was saying doesn't make sense at all. But you just, that's exactly it. You get stuck in this mindset of like, I'm pigeonholed into this one type of existence.
Yeah.
Because I got, the braces and the soccer game and the, like, I want to take them to Disneyland one day and, like, whatever would be cool to travel at some point, like all these different things. And then you whittle all of your imaginations for what your life and what your potential is down to this, like, monetary kind of earning mechanism where it's like, okay, man, like, this is it. This is like this right here. This is what you get to do the rest of your life. If you want to do all these other things. First off, I don't think that's true. I think there are ways that people can get creative with making money and living a life that go far beyond the, like, most basic assumptions of like, well, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you got to be like a dentist, you got to be whatever. It's like, man, there are a lot of different ways to make a living. Like, I've never had a job. I've always been self-employed, and I've come up with different ways of making money to support my family, which are really very cool. Odd. Yeah, I mean, like, you're sitting in one of them. Like, it's a very odd thing, but like, you have, I believe now in the capacity of potential right? Even as an adult, I believe in capacity of potential to change and do other things. It's just so odd that it should seem like it goes without saying in the United States. Like, look at you, look at everything you have, look at all of the safety nets we have. I was just editing a clip from. I was fortunate enough to go to DC recently, and I was editing clips from our national delegates, and the clips are like. They're talking about healthcare. They're talking about, one was Senator Jim Risch talking about water infrastructure, reservoirs, right? It's like, especially with dams and water infrastructure, it's like something that the government absolutely is going to have to be part of. And it's like he's also renegotiating the Columbia River Treaty, like all these different things. Okay, great. But we have so much. We have people sitting around wondering about, like paying for water infrastructure for us. Like, okay, great. Like we have so much.
Yeah.
We have healthcare. We have so much abundance, yet we whittle ourselves down to like, you can only be this, kid. And we do that to ourselves.
Yeah, and I don't know why we do. But you're right.
Could you imagine if you looked at Solomon, you're like, listen, man, you really only have two options in life. Garbage man, or maybe if you're good, you could be the mud brick maker. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like neither are bad professions, right?
Rip that page out of the book. You won't be an ice skater.
Yeah, you're not going to just stop looking at this, Sparky.
What is this propaganda,
what is
Solomon?
You obviously are an outside entity coming into Ghana to offer, and not just offer, but organize, right? Like, cause localize. It's not like you're just all, people from Idaho that are going there. But were there other localized entities attempting to do this? The reason I ask is, and again, I touched on just briefly before we started going. I read an article years ago about this organization, not one particular organization, but the problem with trying to help in other, like in third world countries. Okay. And one example within the article was this organization that was like 1 million t-shirts for Africa. Mm-hmm. And the idea was this person's like, we're going to provide clothing. It's going to be fantastic. All of these things. And the problem with that obviously is there are a lot of people that have t-shirts already in Africa. Like, this is not something that there's an enormous scarcity of, right? So here was this gift that this organization thought, this grand offering and this help, when in reality, it's like, that's not something that they need help with, right?
Yeah.
You also so you have this problem with people give things that are in effect useless, right? You also have the flip side of people give things in abundance of things that are hyper valuable, right? So you could have... there was this one organization that actually was one of my students, and they built soccer fields in Africa, which was really, really cool. Because like the more you can get kids engaged in sports, the like more you bring communities together, and then you have like all these things, right? And he showed me this picture of this guy when he was over there for the soccer field. That this guy was like cutting up, he was the butcher, right? So he's cutting up, they had butchered some cow or something, and it was the head, right? And he was like cutting off these pieces of meat from the cheeks and all this stuff. And you're like, wow, because I'd never seen a head, get butchered like that. And so like food is obviously important. So say you have some Idaho cattle guy who's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to donate. We're going to donate 100 head of cattle to this area, or we're going to donate enough meat for this community for like 6 months or a year or something. And it's going to be great. Can't do it forever, but this is our offering, right? This is our great service. Well, guess what? The dude butchering the cow head, he's out of business because you just flooded the market. Good for you. Yeah. You helped provide this thing. It's good for the community initially. But after the year, when you're gone, you just destroyed the entire system that provided protein to that community because you flooded it with free protein, right? So you have these two problems of organizations that are offering things that aren't actually of value.
Yeah.
You have this problem of organizations offering things in a temporal setting that are hyper valuable. I'm going to give you meat, but I'm only giving you meat for a year, right? Like, I'm not providing you with cows to grow on your own. And even that, you're going to screw up some of the nurseries there. Like, how do you strike a balance with this? And were there other people, organizations there already attempting to do or doing what you guys were doing that you had conflict with?
Yeah, great question. And I nerd out about this stuff because it's where I got my education. Thinking about this stuff, having discussions at Notre Dame about this, and so I'm hypercritical of nonprofits because it's like who I am. It's like the path I've chosen to go down. So,
and the assessment is was my assessment accurate, and that like those are two big problems that you run into with nonprofits?
Totally. I mean,
great.
there are literally nonprofits out there that do more harm than good. And oftentimes eventually they'll make the news, and it gives all nonprofits a bad rap, So, the solutions are never, humans are complex. And so if there's a simple solution, you kind of got to dig deeper immediately, because there really isn't simple solutions out there. I mean, not too many of them. They've all been solved. They're simple, so people solve them. So it requires more effort, I guess is what I'm saying. So the Idaho cattle guy that might want to donate beef to Africa, what a commendable thing and what a cool thing. The reality is he's going to have employees on the ground. He's going to have checks and balances, making sure that his donation is going precisely to people who cannot afford the local beef, and that takes a lot of effort, takes more money, takes more time. You got to figure that stuff out. Can his donation do good? Yes. But like all these things have to be in place. Otherwise, you're killing all the entrepreneurs at the same time. You can't compete with stuff like that. But I see it all the time in Ghana. And so like us, we have to do our own little litmus test, If we were not here, what would happen? None of these kids have a safety net. If GMAD vanished today, we'd have 120 kids who are now homeless immediately. All the medical stuff that we do, no one would get that medical care. Period. Like they would never be able to afford a surgeon or get that help. There's no government program. Same with the school. In fact, many of the kids in the community come to our school, and our social workers ask themselves, would this kid attend a government school without our intervention? If the answer is no, then we try our best to, okay, you can come to our school and we'll help you out. So that's a big deal for us is, are we stepping on anyone's toes over there? And I alluded to this earlier, but I have 52 employees in Ghana, and they do the real work. They're the locals. Some of our social workers have master's degrees and everything, and they're very competent. They're very good at solving problems. They don't really need me. I'm just the professional beggar in Idaho, and so anyway, I hope that answers your question a little bit, but yeah, it's a real thing. It's not easy to do a lot of good, and it takes and credit to Idaho. I don't know that Gonna Make a Difference would have survived or thrived in a different state. There's a lot of generous people here in Idaho who are charitable mavericks, who are willing to give their money to a cause that's 7,000 miles away, and know that their neighbors are never going to know what they did, they give freely. And so, anyway, Idaho's cool that way, but yeah, that's a big concern is we're always watching that, making sure if we're doing surgeries in Ghana, are we taking the surgeon's job in Ghana? No, we're not. Because there's just so many underserved people that would never be able to access it. So
if you're educating a 16-year at risk 16-year-old, are you taking education away from someone else? Are you taking a teaching job away from somebody else? Are you like whatever it might be? If it's like you're providing food and shelter, are you decimating the apartment industry or something like that? And it sounds like the answer is overwhelmingly no. Are there other international organizations like you guys? Like, is there like a British counterpart where there's some guy in London or something who's like, hey man, let's fire London version of? So in fact, some of our best partnerships are some of these other NGOs. For instance, we don't do any of the actual rescuing. We partner with International Justice Mission, IJM. They're out of DC, and they will do a lot of the rescuing and intel and all that stuff with the Ghanaian police force. And then when they rescue the children together, they come to us through the Department of Social Welfare. So there's all these like correct avenues you need to set up and take. We don't have a senior high school level, but there's this other organization out of the UK that has a senior high school, and they saw what we were doing, and we ended up partnering with them. And so
our older kids who age out of our school now get free tuition at this really cool private senior high school that's from the UK. So we're kind of working together, and so it's fun to find like other nonprofits who are kicking butt over there and doing it the right way. And I'm really clear that ours is a children's shelter, right? We're not in the industry of keeping kids forever and then having those kids continue that cycle again. No, we want to help all these kids and their families on the path of self-reliance. So
what do you mean continue that cycle again? Like you're raising them to essentially be dependent on NGOs?
Yeah. Like, in fact, the first time I went to Ghana, I ended up working at a children's home, and you could see the cycle, you know, because where's their next step after they age out at 18? If they're playing by the rules in Ghana, the Department of Social Welfare says you can't have a kid at your home past 18, you know, if you have both genders at your home. So that 18-year-old goes off and he tries to find some job, and the cycle starts when he, you know, starts a family, and so you see the cycle repeat. Because
because they don't have enough skill sets.
They don't have the skill set. They never knew that there was even a path to self-reliance for them, that they could be self-reliant. They were never taught how to be self-reliant. So,
at least not at the level that would
stop
the cycle of risk. Because it's like, okay, yeah, maybe that person could get a job again, for instance, on a fishing boat somewhere, right? But then the guy gets married and has a kid, and then he breaks his arm, right? And then it's like, oh, gotta like sell the kid into essentially slavery again, and they don't know that. Right.
Theoretically.
So you need a level of self-reliance that creates an abundance and prosperity to the level of not selling your kid off. Right. So it's like, yeah, this person will be able to figure out how to find food, but we need them to have more than just food. We need them to have a level of security that allows for better life options.
Totally. Yep. And that takes effort, you know, to get a kid to that stage.
Which is where your reading, writing, and computer skills in a year come in.
Yeah.
So then when the kid's 18, at the very least, they're like, hey, I say I want to be an ice skater. Okay, fine. I need to apply my, educational skills to either continue educating myself or get a job that I can grow in because, I can learn, right? And then start saving up for the trip to Europe for the ice skating rink.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and the kids are fun. They most of our kids will go off to trade school. No. And they learn how to be a plumber. We, in fact, at our school right now, the one we're building, the contractor was so kind to hire a bunch of them that are kind of in a limbo, or they'll go to school in the morning and then they work with this contractor and the different tradesmen who are bending rebar and putting up our footings right now. And they're learning from like the best of the best. And that's fun because like these kids who have benefited from our school and our children's shelter are literally laying the foundation for more kids to come. And it's like a win-win-win, everyone's
Gotcha.
winning. And so anyway, it takes effort, I guess, is my main thing. Going back to, do you see nonprofits doing even having a negative impact? Yeah, I do. And I think the main difference between a really productive, good, positive impact nonprofit and one that's not so is effort. Like you got to get dirty. You got to jump in the trenches and figure stuff out and make it a community thing over there. You can't just be, aliens coming and dropping ship and saying this is how it's going to be done, because they're smart enough. They can figure out their own problems.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and
they just need a little help here and there, little resources. We still do checks and balances with all our finances and everything like that. We still have this machine that we've built, but we have a board of directors here, in Idaho stateside. And then we have an advisory board of all Ghanaians there in Ghana who help us navigate all sorts of stuff over there. They're super valuable. So anyway, you got to do it right.
Yeah. Man, meeting with people like you, I always end these conversations feeling like such a waste of life.
No,
I'm
I
like-
hope not.
Well, sure, you hope not, but like that doesn't change the fact it's like, yeah, I'm gonna, God, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
So
Because what do you do, man? Like, you obviously have a path forward to, this incredibly, what appears to be enriching and self-evidently valuable pursuit. Like, where do our average everyday lives compare to that? Like, how do you?
I'll say this, like, because I believe this with my whole heart. Is even after this, I'm meeting with one of my really good friends who's an entrepreneur. You can't trace much of the good that we've done. Like, pretty much all the good we've done in Ghana can be traced back to an entrepreneur, a businessman,
Sure,
someone who's working the 9 to 5. We get almost half of our funding through monthly donors in Idaho, paying. Some of them are college students, paying $10 a month, $20 a month. We've had retired educators. We have one retired educator in Meridian. He impresses the heck out of me because he donates $1,000 a month. It's just worked into his budget. Where does that money go? We have this 100% giving model I'm super proud of. All of it goes to Ghana, and it's doing all this good work. But if you trace back all these kids' lives and these folks who are being helped, if you trace back and follow the money like an accountant would do, you would find all these normal people living normal lives in Idaho, doing the best they can, and none of it would be possible without them knowing and trusting what we're doing in Ghana, So I think just a credit to the normal person, I'm as average as they come. No different than other folks here in Idaho. In fact, super common name, Austin Johnson. There's like
super common.
40 of me at Utah State when I went there.
Look at you.
And so I just think there's just all these people doing the best they can, and they believe in our cause, and here in Idaho, and we've been able to magnify that trust and that money into all these lives that have been changed for the better over there, who are saved from vulnerability or saved from distress or pain, and we couldn't do it without people like you,
People
neighbors.
like me. I'm a loser, man. Like, you could do it. We
No.
just met for the first time today. You've been doing just fine without me.
No.
I just, what was that?
Not true.
Well, I appreciate
But
that.
I see what you're saying.
Like, you, Mother Teresa, classically, because I mean, obviously, how are you going to hold a candle to Mother Teresa, right? There was that's her great line, which is what's the area, like the like town or country or
She's
city?
in Calcutta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't her line like find your Calcutta? Where
I don't know,
the sentiment that has been expressed to me is always, look, find an area that you can help. And define help however you want, define area however you want, but find something that you can help with.
Yeah.
And do that. Because you look at Mother Teresa and you look at the things that she's done. And I read this this book years ago. I think it was the Soul of Money or Spirit of Money or something like that. And again, the author had this great appreciation, for Mother Teresa, and it really made me dive down this rabbit hole of like, okay, look, we cannot all be Mother Teresa, right? And it's undeniable that the things she has done are incredible, right? We can't all be her, and we all want to be her, right? It's like watching an X-Men movie. Like, everybody wants to be, Wolverine or Jean Grey or whatever, right? Everybody wants to have that experience, but it doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't always have to be that. You don't have to be Mother Teresa in order to bring the world forward in a more positive way.
That's right.
You just need to find whatever your Calcutta is and do that.
Yeah. And I'll even, one of my favorite quotes from her is, I can do things you cannot do, and you can do things I cannot do, but together we'll do great things. And I mean, That's how I would describe Gonna Make a Difference, and everything we've done over there is just people coming together, doing things that the other can't do, or so what you've done with this podcast and given so many here in Idaho a platform to share, and then others to learn from, it's amazing. You do amazing stuff. So it's no different. We're just 7,000 miles away.
I think it's a little different. But listen, you can do things I can't do. Yeah, man. Austin, listen to me. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. But I also appreciate you taking the time and taking a shot. I know going on a podcast is not always the funnest thing to do.
I'm still nervous, and we're coming up to the end.
I can tell. But listen, this is what I'd love to do. I'd love to have you back on. Hopefully round 2 you'll be less nervous because it's no big deal. I won't have it got really cold in here for people. If you've made it this long, there's a little background noise, which really bothers me. It's the fan, but it got too hot, or excuse me, too cold in here. But listen, I'd love to continue understanding more of what you guys do and hearing more, success stories as you have them. Perhaps if you'd be down, the next time you come in, if you want to come back, like bring some stories of individual people, because I would love to hear. It's like, okay, this kid, this was the experience, right? And then this is what happened. And then this is where the kid is now. I do not anticipate at all that there's any world where we could get like one of the former residents of GMAD here to Idaho to like talk. But, I want to understand that.
Yeah, done. I mean, I would love to be back, and it's a dangerous game you're playing, because asking me, I love telling stories, and I really didn't share that many here, but it's like asking me to eat ice cream, Austin, have some Ben and Jerry's. Done. I'll do it as much as you want. So anyway, our next episode might be a few hours long.
Listen, I'll give you all the time you want, my guy. Let's make it happen. I'd love to see pictures of your place too. I like that the medical clinic that Mr. Beast gave you guys, or helped you with, at least, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, and for you and any listener who hears this podcast episode, I have that Mr. Beast video that he did up on our website. So if you go to gonamakeadifference.org, I'm super proud of the video and how it turned out, and you can go and just watch it. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long. I think it really sums up what we do in a great way, and they're so good at making videos. So
yeah, dude, they are. He's not messing around.
No, he's not. So it was fun meeting him and touring him around a shelter, and we can talk about that next time too.
What's interesting with Mr. Beast? Obviously very interesting guy, but he went through this phase when he finally made money, right? So he started, I guess he got his first video took off when he was like 12 or 13 or something. This is a long time ago. 12 or 13, and then it was like crickets. But he got hooked at 12 or 13. He's like, dude, this is awesome. And he worked and killed himself until his mom said that if he didn't go to college, that he was kicked out of the house. So he knew he had at least one semester at college. So he was signed up for like a JC or something. Yeah. And every day he would leave the house, presumably to go to college and go to classes. But he was actually making videos with his friends. And he was like, every day it was like, I think they said they were on a Skype for like 12 hours a day, working on thumbnails, working on videos, working on all of these different things, right?
Yeah.
And he said he's finally hit like November of that semester. So it was like the fall semester, August to December. And then he finally hit, made like 20 grand 1 month in November. He's like, I'm out, Mom. I actually haven't been going to college. I've been making videos. I'm moving out now. So he moves out. So he starts making money. And there's a period of time when he tried to buy a fancy car, tried to buy like more expensive clothing, tried to get like a fancier apartment, all these things. And which I think is a rare moment of insight for like a 22-year-old, was like, man, none of this makes me happy. Like, the car is irrelevant. Like, the clothing is like, this is what actually makes me happy. This thing over here. And so he like got rid of the fancy car and got rid of the fancy clothes. He said he had to upgrade his apartment just for security reasons, because he's kind of like a famous guy now, like one of the most famous in the world. But it's that clarity of, hey, look, man, what actually makes you happy?
Yeah.
And if you are happy helping people, then like, that's great. Then you should focus on that. And I've always appreciated that about him. If you're happiest making videos, make awesome videos. And then, of course, he figured out how to do incredibly good things with his video making capacity. and my target audience is, the 2 million people of Idaho.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to envision doing something like Mr. Beast, where it's like, okay, well, like you can do these great things making videos on YouTube. It's like, yeah, I can't do that, but I can do something in Idaho.
Yeah. I didn't realize what a controversial figure he was. In fact, when I first came into his radar, I didn't even know who he was because I don't have teenagers and
yeah. I've actually never seen a Mr. Beast video.
Yeah. So so sometimes I'll get asked, did he really help you build the surgical center? And I'm like, yeah, he wrote the check to make it happen, so it's the real deal. And so anyway, yeah, I have a lot of respect for him, and it was fun to meet him. And even when he's interviewing me at Gonna Make a Difference, everything that dude says is on camera, so I was even more nervous in front of him.
Yeah. Everything, his whole life. They just follow him around with a camera.
It's brutal. And he was asking, what project should we do next? I'm telling him about the school and stuff like that. And then the interview's over, and I have some of these GMAD kids watching me, and they came up and like, Austin, you blew it. I was like, what do you mean? You should have asked for a swimming pool. Like, oh, sorry, man. So anyway, it gave me a lot of street cred over there. Like half of my staff knew who he was. And so I had to sign legal documents that I wouldn't tell anyone he was coming because he's so popular. A crowd would start, so.
Oh yeah. They don't know till he gets there.
All these black governmental vehicles showed up at our children's shelter. And, I had some of the kids helping me clean up and stuff. And I would say, oh, my friend's coming. And so they're all like anticipating whoever Austin's friend is. And Mr. Beast hops out of the car. And some of the older kids are like, what?
It's Mr.
How often do you hang out with him? I'm like, all the time. Yeah.
All the time, my guy.
There's only one answer to that. So it was cool. Now all the kids actually respect me over there. No, I'm just kidding. But
bless it. Listen, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for making the time to come in here. Let's do another one. Bring your stories. I'll slot as much time as you want, man. This fills my bucket hearing about it. Yeah, it's good stuff. So again, thanks for coming in. We'll do it again.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. Thank you all for listening.